Alright, well, welcome to today's episode of Sunday with Fortune. So today we're going to do, I was asked to do a recipe on fried chicken. So I'm going to do a very, very simple one. One thing I will say again is I have started off by brining the chicken, adding some flavor into the chicken, and add a little flavor to the chicken by using the salted water. I've already brined the chicken. I'm going to go ahead and drain it. These are fairly large chicken breasts here. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm actually going to cut them in half and move from there. Now you can cut the chicken breast however size you want to. I want to cut them into strips eventually, so I like to take it off these little pieces on the side, pieces of fat on the side there. I'm really just taking and scraping this extra little fat off, of here. So give me some time here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these chicken breasts. Now as I'm cutting the chicken breast, I'm cutting to one of the fat sides, the more plump side of the breast, cutting about a good portion of the way through the meat. Turn it over, and I'm pressing down on the meat because I want the meat to actually, the chicken breast to actually be basically the same size. I don't want it to be thick on one side and thin on the other side, so I'm just flattening it out just a little bit. I'm not mashing on it too hard. Now what you could do is actually use some saran wrap, lay the chicken out flat on there on the board, put the saran wrap over the top, take your tenderizer and just beat it down to the same size. It'll be very, very easy to do, and if you want to cook your chicken a little bit faster, do the same thing, maybe make it a little bit thinner. It makes it easier to cook, or faster to cook I should say. I'm just mashing it down just a little bit, then I'm cutting it into about 3/4 inch strips. Alright, I've already done the rest of the chicken breast, so I'm just finishing these up here. And then turn them sideways and cutting them into little smaller strips. Something that's more bite-sized instead of having a big long strip of meat going across there. Alright, so I have all those put on there. First, squeeze 2 eggs. So the eggs, we're going to add a little bit of water. Just going to beat the eggs in the water. What we're doing here is just creating, got a little water everywhere, don't I? Creating an egg wash for the chicken breast. So we're going to bread the chicken. Clean up your mess. Always clean up your mess. I have the oil already going in the back there. Got it heating up. So the egg wash. Now we're going to add 2 cups of flour to this pan here. We got 2 cups of flour. And what I'm simply going to do is add a little bit of seasoning to it. This is just simply some Lowry seasoning salt. You don't want a whole bunch of this Lowry seasoning salt because the Lowry's actually, it gets real salty in my opinion. So you don't, a little bit goes a long way. Plus it starts blackening. It starts to blacken after a while. So what I also add here is just a pinch of this chipotle chili. This is very, very spicy. So just want a little bit of that, okay? So I just stir it up with my hand. Just a little bit in there. Okay. Right here is my seasoning for my chicken. It's just salt and pepper. Just a little bit of salt and pepper to go add onto the chicken. Alright. Gotta season it. Cool. Egg wash going here. And the last little thing here, the last thing we're going to do, because I want a little more crunch on here, I got some panko breadcrumbs. I like using these panko breadcrumbs because they're actually supposed to be a little bit healthy. Of course, the breadcrumbs, just tie them back, cut the top off, tie them back up, little crispy tie. Comes from the bread. Hold on to the bread. Now I'm just going to put, I'm actually going to pour all this in here. This is going to take all the breadcrumbs. Panko breadcrumbs are a little more healthy, and they actually are going to absorb more of the grease that we got heating. Oil, it's actually vegetable oil. And then to this one, I'm adding, as opposed to the Lowry seasoning salt, I'm actually adding the roasted garlic and herb. This is just McCormick's. It's not my own blend. I mix this all together here. It just gives it a different flavor. I think I'll do just a little bit more in there. That should be enough. We're going to go to the chicken, put it to the flour, go to the very dust it off real quick, put it into the egg wash, to the breading, okay? Now, a very simple process. You can also do, makes it simple, which I'm going to do. I wanted you to see what I was mixing together there. But I'm going to put this all into a Ziploc pan bag. Because now, I don't have to sit here and worry about trying to pull that back out. I can go from one to the other and stick it right into the bag and get these all together. Okay, so, and you want to use different hands for each activity. Okay, so I'm putting with one hand, unless you want to use the tongs. I work with my fingers, my hands. I'm going to put some chicken breasts into here, coat them up. From there, you're going to shake off the excess, right? Stick it into egg wash. Good. Go to the egg wash. Egg wash. Egg wash, it goes into the bread. And you just place these all in here, and I'm going to do it in batches. So I'm going to do like half of the chicken breast here. Get those all done. First, start again. Do the next set. Boom. That's enough. I added a little seasoning to the flour here because I just like it. I think it adds a little extra flavor in the inside to the extra inside coating of the chicken fingers we're actually making today. And you want to put in this flour first here before you put it into the egg wash, because it actually forms a little seal around the chicken before adding it to the breadcrumbs. Alright, Let's seal this bag and then we'll wash my hands real quick.
Okay, so we have the breadcrumbs. We're coating the chicken in the breadcrumbs there. As you can see, let's get a nice little coating on the outside of the chicken. Just want to keep tossing that around. So you get a nice good coating on here. I have the oil going, trying to get to like 175 degrees. Simple test, very, very simple test you can do. You can add a little splash of water if it pops. Sounds good. Now you don't want any more like 1 or 2 drops of water in there. That's gonna pop in your face. You don't want that popping in your face. Trust me, you don't want it popping in your face. Set that out. So we're gonna go in here and start putting the chicken into the pan. And I'm gonna start off with a small piece and see how quickly it starts cooking. We don't want it too high. All right, cool. I'm comfortable with that. I'm turning it down just a little bit while it's cooking. And I'm gonna continue adding the chicken breast to pan. You want to be careful not to overload your pan. You want the temperature of the oil to stay the same from all the way throughout the cooking. Of course, it's going to drop just a pinch, but if you have enough oil in here, it'll work out just fine. And I started using some Crisco oil the other day. First time I tried to use some Crisco oil. And it said on the package to add a little bit of water to it. Well, I wasn't really paying attention to how much water it said, because it really didn't say. So I was like, I'm going to put a little bit of water in here. And as that Crisco oil started dissolving, man, grease started popping everywhere. It was scary. So, and I know you're not supposed to add grease to it, to oil, because of course oil and water don't mix. And so it proved itself to me, by the way, how much grease was popping out everywhere. It was not a safe environment. Okay? You see? What we have here is a cast iron skillet. I love the cast iron skillet, man. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to try to keep the temperature even all the way over, because the cast iron skillet does a good job of trying to keep the temperature passing all the way through. So, the sauce we created here was a honey mustard sauce, right? The honey mustard sauce is more of it's not one of the dipping sauce I created. It's more of a sauce for to toss the chicken breast in. The meaning behind the honey mustard sauce is this, that no matter what you believe about your life, all the strifes and pains you may have gone through, may be going through now, if you start thinking of your life as that, the base for this honey mustard, which is honey, for the most part, the basic thing of a honey mustard sauce is honey. You put more honey than anything else. So if I'm thinking about all the pieces of my life, no matter how bitter or how much toil I had to go through to get to where I am or to get to where I'm going, all these pieces of my life are the pieces that are building a sweet life. So I cannot take the bad away from my life if that's helping me get to the good parts. To get the sweet part of life, I must mix all these different ingredients which are going to give me the good life that I'm living today. Now mixing in with this honey, we mix in some mustard. Alright, some prepared mustard. Now the Bible says that, and this is just a biblical reference, the Bible says that with the faith of a mustard seed, I can do all things. I'm glad I've learned that I have to build my faith every day. But because I put that faith of a mustard seed, which is one of the tiniest seeds of any plant, one of the tiniest seeds of any plant is a mustard seed. But because I planted that faith, planted that seed, that mustard seeds, I'm able to add it to this honey. Start making this honey mustard. Now that's just the basics for the honey mustard sauce, is honey and mustard. So what do we add to that? We start adding some spices. Okay? We add a little spices in there. That's just whatever happens in your life. You know, life is going to be, I don't want a bland life. I don't want to just sitting there doing nothing. I like to have a little bit of adventure. I like to go try new things. I like to experiment. I like to add this, a little bit of that, add a little of this, add a little bit of that, and figure out what's the best combination. That's how you create the same thing with my sauces. So here's some things you can add to your sauces that I use in mine. Add a little bit. You can use some white cooking wine. Use some molasses. You can use a little bit of garlic seasoning, or garlic powder, excuse me. You can also use some crushed red pepper to add a little extra spice to it. These are all little ingredients you can add to your honey mustard. The little spices that add to your life. Whether that's going on some extra vacations, whether that's going and trying a new skill that you've always wanted to try, going out and taking some adventures such as jumping out of a plane or whatever it may be. It may be as simple as just starting to write a blog. Maybe it's something that add a little spice to life means you actually get up off the couch and go to your kids' games. Just any little spice to life is all they're talking about.
Take one of these chicken breasts. Now, chicken breast, crunch on the outside. Ah, I wish you could smell that chicken. You see there, a nice crust on the outside. Still got plenty of flavor on, juiciness on the inside. Oh my goodness. Taste some of this here. Oh, I feel good. That's so good. So that's today's episode of Sunday with Fortune. I'm going to finish my other piece here. Glad you're able to step out today. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye. That's so good.